Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video we're gonna go over my 2AL0 overclocked. So you could see here on the video, this is my AL01 right over here, and you can see there on the camera it's AL01 setup. Now my AL02 is on this camera right over here. You can see AL02 also has power meter. So why there is two power meters on the AL01 and only one power meter on AL02? So I'm going to explain here real quick. AL02 connected directly to 12 volt server PSU, just this server PSU. It's 1200 watts. I use for a bunch of other it's not just one miner. I have a bunch of the AL0s, two more connected, and RX0s connected to it. So it's very convenient. I don't like those standard power connector. I mean, if you're mining with 2 or 3 miners, probably fine, but then it becomes a nightmare, a bunch of wires and stuff, and it's harder to work around. So anyways, this miner performs on 12 volts so far okay, but you cannot use barrel connector because you're gonna exceed your power of the over 10 amp. So I did solder this directly. I modded this miner. You could see the video, previous video of AL0 that I modded. You can go check it out how I did it. What I put there's on the other side. I have fan. I removed these plates, back and front plates, and I installed a shroud with the fan. And also there is there behind there's temperature controller. You cannot see it completely, but it's right here, and it controls the speed of this fan based on the ambient temperature. Or I can put this there is a sensor I can put either on the top of the miner somewhere next and set the temperature of the miner that I want to be at, or I can do at the ambient temperature, which both of those important. We can talk about ambient temperature. Probably it's really important. It's actually probably deserves separate video because I have 2 of my miners ultra that failed because of the ambient temperature, and it looks like buck converter is going bad. So I had to move them in condition space where they still mining but not overclocked. These 2 guys. They're basically failed mining in the not condition space. It was in garage mining okay, and then all of a sudden these 2 start restarting. I have posted the video about it. I thought I switched to 19 volts and they're gonna do okay. So they did okay for a week and started rebooting every 3 to 5 minutes without performing much of the hash. It would start hashing, maybe like going to 50 gigahash, and it would restart the miner, sometimes not even starting. So I had to move it to this more of a cooler environment because it's super hot still here in Sacramento, getting up to 100 degrees in October, which is ridiculous. Anyways, let's talk about this AL0 because we off topic already. So my AL01 right here, and this is the chart for AL0. So I did basically set 2 power meters here. So AL02, you've seen it's 1 power meter just at 12 volt because it's mining directly at 12 volt. Now this AL01 connected to 19 volts, but I have the meter at 12 volt because I still using server PSU. So from server PSU, I go to this upper, let me switch to that camera right here. So this upper right on the top, this power meter connected directly to server PSU. And you could see 12 volt there, right? 11.9 volt, 237 watts. Now, after that, it goes to step up converter, which is right behind there. You can't really see. And then from step up converter, it goes to second power meter that showing 19 volt, 228 watts right below it. And it's connect directly to AL0 barrel connector at 19 volts. But look at the amperage. It's 1196 amp, which is about almost 2 amp over the maximum limit. So I'm already kind of worried about my barrel connector. I'm gonna just go ahead and solder my connector and directly mine on 12 volts for that miner, because with this overclocking, it's basically I am at the risk of losing my barrel connector. So let's talk about hash rate there and settings. So what do I have for clocks? 350, 84. Is that the maximum? I don't know. I was kind of not. It's only 2 days mining. I'm trying to figure if it's more stable or not. And because it's in garage, I have some also the ambient temperature a little bit higher. I have power stages at 70, which I believe it's acceptable, and the chips are right now at 75, but they during the day they go to 82 because it's a lot warmer in garage. I mean hotter, I should say, because it goes to 97 degree in garage Fahrenheit, but in evening it cools down, and at night it's about 70 in garage, so it drops a little bit of the chip temperatures over the night, and I don't know if it helps or actually makes it worse for hash rate. So now you could see it's only 1 hour on the network because I did went and installed those power meter just for this video, so I had to reset it and wait for an hour, but obviously so you don't see the full 24-hour hash rate, but you could see that on the pool. So this is my AL0 and AL01 and AL02 here on the hum pool. So you could see clearly right there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Here you go. You could see my here it is, 15 minutes. Basically, it does reports a little high right now. My 1 hour, not quite there yet on the pool, because pool takes a little bit longer, I believe. But you can see my 24-hour hash rate is 632. It was 645 there and 645 on both of the miners. Just because I restart AL01, it kind of dropped my 24-hour hash rate there a little bit, but I think it will pick up pretty soon and go back to about 645. That's what I see for the last 2 days. So it's been 48 hours on the network, except I just restarted for the video again. Fortunately, I wanted to show you guys the power consumption, so it just kind of not showing the whole data. You could see oh, this is second one. The first one I just restarted, so it's 1 hour. Now let's talk about the second AL0. So now you understand about this power metering situation and the power consumption. So at 12 volts, it's drawing about 237 watts on this 925 clocks, right? So we do on 975 clocks, and I am doing 84 on millivolts. So don't try the settings. I kind of trying to figure for myself. Every miner going to be different, but for this video I set 2 of this miner exactly same clocks. I was doing a little bit adjusting there. When I go a little bit lower on voltage, it does not perform quite well. So I don't know if that's the best, but it's not the best efficiency. Definitely it's probably not for efficiency, but for trying to reach first a highest hash rate here. So really same settings, right? So you could see that 350, 84, right? I was trying to do 360, even 365, but there it was a lot of fluctuating. I was still okay on power stages. I was about 70 going to 75, and the chips were about 83, 84 again. I probably need to try that during the cool hours when it's cooler, because when it's hot it's just kind of harder, and the fluctuating on the chip starts to go up and down a lot, and I'm not sure if that's exactly where I want it to be. So I kind of stopped here for now just to see if I'm really gonna reach the efficiency. I'm not the efficiency, but the increase of the percentage, because it's supposed to be 56%. So let's talk about the percentage here. So increase of the hash rate, that's where our typically we want to see increase here on the, and we're not going to look at 5 minutes, because 5 minutes can show 800 and then it could show 500 like right now. See, this is going to fluctuate 5 minutes. The 30 minutes will fluctuate as well, but 2 hour will be more of a close look. And what I really like is 24 hours look at my on the pool, because that's where you actually getting rewards from your hash rate on the pool. So with that, let's just do a simple math here. If we start in with the clock and my miner doing 400, let's say if it's 400, and I'm gonna need to add 56%. I am supposed to be at 624, and I was on the pool 645. So it is doing 56% from 400, but however, my miner was doing 425. Can show you here on my what am I trying to do? Let me show you my other lithium miners that not overclocked. They doing 425, 426, 24 hours, and this guy's been there on the network. Probably restarted. This one was for over 2 days. This one 3 days, probably more than that. It's it just I had to move them around and restart at one point, so they do not show the full probably hash rate there, and it's probably getting cooler there in garage. So look how the hash rate here on the miner dropped. Very interesting. So let's take a look. They are actually at the average 24 hours still pretty good, 425. That's what I see for the last 4 days. It's been hovering around 425. So if we take our stock considering 425 gigahash, and we want to add 56% to that, at 56%, are we reaching that goal? 663, not quite. We're at 645, right? So with that, basically, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not exactly percentage. It does kind of match to the factory 400. So we're doing better than 400, 56%. But we're not quite. Even at 645, I think I should be at around 660 with that overclocks. But I think it's still pretty cool to see these numbers. I get in like an extra miner, extra 450 gigahash over here just for overclocks. So if every 2 miners give you an extra miner basically, right? So if I have 4, I can get 2 extra hash rate of 2 extra miner by overclocking it. Yes, of course, you do void the warranty, you install an overclock, so yes, there is potential risk on the miner, but again, if you do it properly, precautionally, yes, the risk you can minimize. So, but yeah, read it, pay attention, go, and before you install any overclocks, make sure you read. There's lots of information. Known issues are like super important. You go through everything, all the answers about hash rates, how they work, what you need to reach there. So, and don't really take my hash. Don't take of these clocks and put it in yours, because you may not gonna receive anything similar to what I have. It's just what I try to reach these numbers by doing really slowly. So I started kind of going to 200. Actually, it's actually pretty good big jump, but at least I modded and I know I have those heatsinks, so I'm not gonna do any damage right away, right? But still be very careful jumping up on the high number, especially if you're not modded. You want to see your temperatures, you want to make sure your power stage is happy and stuff like that, because if you exceed 125 volts, or if your chip's under volted, not enough voltage, you're gonna see the hash rate drops to 0 and you're not mining, and you'll be actually looking at these numbers and saying why I can't repeat this. So do not try to copy this. That's very important. That's number one actually rule. Do not copy of anybody's settings. I know everybody wants to just set the numbers and go, but that's not what you want to do. You want to really create your own their kind of schedule, right? Now, what else I want to talk about right there on my, okay, so my AL02 mystically started just about 10 hours ago with 155 watts. Because I had to set up this power meter for the video, I moved it around to the other side so it's visible on my camera here. And it just I thought like, oh, maybe it's not overclocked fully, but look at this. This is my AL01, AL02 right here. It's 10 hours, but obviously it's kind of, when I moved wires around, something happened and it's got the clocks to 625 back to stuck, and then gradually went back to my overclock. So something happened here about an hour ago. I'm not sure exactly what when I moved the wires, but it does shows on the pool AL02 640 gigahash 24 hours, and this gonna actually show probably bare now C625 here, so it will be showing better numbers here on the oh, probably didn't see right there on the 24 hours 640 and about 625 right now, but also it will gradually go back because it takes time now after it's kind of took clocks back again. What interesting, I didn't want to reboot this miner just because of that power consumption. This is really really cool to have 155 watts. I only added 50 watts for an extra 200 gigahash, so it's like it's like a regional power consumption. That's awesome. But I don't know how did it happen. It probably it was before actually was mining, and it was showing 220 watts at 12 volt with this clock. So I don't know exactly, guys, what happened. Don't ask me how. I just don't want to reboot it because I kind of believe if I reboot this miner, it will go back to this 230 or 220 watts, which I don't like. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I restarted this already also, and it didn't reduce the wattage. It was 237, it was 238, so right around the same wattage at 12 volts. I don't know if that step-up converter or mining at 19 volts makes a big difference, because at 12 volt I had exactly same 200, maybe a little bit less, 230 watts maybe, so not 238, but still it was kind of high on these clocks. 155 watts is actually, I would be really happy if it stays there, but usually it doesn't. It's probably going to reboot at some point and go back to 200 watts. That's kind of my feeling there, but we'll see. I'm happy that it's taken and it's going back to 600, hopefully 50 here on the web GUI. Around 650 is usually like this, 30 minutes, so we should get the 2 hours pretty soon around 650 as well. And this is showing 663. I wasn't able to reach 700 gigahash, obviously, and it's probably going to exceed the power. I don't want to go over 240. So far, I have my 6 of my KS0 Ultra running on 240 watts at 12 volt directly, so which means 20 amp constantly for over 2 months probably already, and no problem because I'm cooling like with those ASIC fans. Now I don't know if this is exactly same, so the chip's probably different here. I don't know the power stage is any different, but they do act slightly different. I noticed when they hotter, over 70, 80 temperature over 70 or 80 Celsius, they're kind of start acting a little bit different. I like to keep them below 80, but if that possible, obviously during the day, like I said, it's hotter and they go almost to 84, 85 on the power stages. And look at that, my board, my chips are 83 here now. Very interesting, even though it's cooler there, but yeah, they go up 83, which for chips usually it's not that bad, because this ASIC seems to like the chips a little bit warmer. So if we can have chips between 80 and 80, I don't like to exceed 85, because I noticed past 90 it's actually reducing the hash rate and using actually more power as well. So you add in the pretty big percentage, probably 10% of the power use after 90 Celsius on the chip, so they use more power. Anyways, What else we're gonna set? So we talk about setup, we talk about hash rates, what you see for the last 24 hours, and you've seen the hash rate on the pool here. Mystic about 155 watts, which I don't know how did it happen and will it survive. Again, I want to just not touch it and keep it there. I almost got freaked out when it's this AL02 dropped, and I thought, shoot, I need to probably restart it, but it went back to the same clocks, 975. So hopefully it stays there. I don't know, can't answer yet, so we'll stay tuned. I'll update you guys. Hopefully I don't have power outage or restart. Anyways, now let's go back and check my their spreadsheet. All right, so have recorded. I basically have track of every single day of the every single miner for the last year. But anyways, that's not the point here. We want to check my lithium miners overclocked and not overclocked, just to compare if I am reaching the actual desired rewards. So my 2 overclocked for the last 2 days, before they were overclocked just with the 75 plus 75 firmware, which didn't make much difference on these few percent. But here we have actually now doing a little better increase. So now last 2 days I mined 5.23. So here we're gonna do the math here. 5.23. I put it here. So for 2 days I mined 5.3 lithium on 2 overclocked miners. The reason I want to do 2 of them just so I have better average, hopefully, right? So, and then I have on the other 2 not overclocked 357 lithium, so right over here. So I put 523, 357. The difference between those two, it's 1.66 lithium more in 2 days, 48 hours. So that is 46% increase from 357 to 523, right? Simple formula here. We just divide this by 2 and in percentage. Now, 46%, but we increased 56% our clocks. Yeah, so not as great, but again, it's only been 2 days and I need to give more time. Hopefully, like next week, if we have full week data, it's going to be a little bit better average, because usually 1-2 days fluctuate a lot. Now, but it's still better than hourly. Never look at the hourly rate. I seen a lot of guys, oh, I got 700, boom, I have, yeah. So you can show wherever you want on 5 minutes. You can show on 5 minute 800 gigahash. It doesn't mean you get rewards for that 5 minute gigahashes, right? So what you really is up to the averages, and your average, even 2 hour, is more or less kind of the average that gives you idea how stable your green line is, right? Because that's where you're gonna probably see most likely on the pool. But your pool in 24 hours for me is like, this is the important data. If I have here 645 on both of them, and I have not overclocked one over here, and they show in 425, I know exactly where I'm at, right? How much extra I'm doing on the hash rate from the stock firmware. So that's how I'm doing my calculations. You can do wherever you want, but here is the data I'm getting from. Okay, so I'm not gonna take in consideration 155 watts because that's just logically not possible. I think it just kind of start glitch, certain, because the same miner was doing 220 watts on the same clocks. So I don't think it's possible. There is no magic in the settings. It just magic in starting this unit certain. I don't know. Somehow it started. I mean, ICERIVER is just not very consistent. Something really interesting happening with those miners every single time. So that's why you don't want to take any of these numbers into your machine, okay? Just trying to repeat this multiple times. Okay, so let's go back and do finish this calculation here. Should I take away this? picture right there. Okay, so 523, 357 in 2 days, 166 difference in 2 days. That's about 0.8 lithium a day, about 0.4 per miner a day extra. A little bit, 0.42, right? Something like that, 0.43. So 46% increase. Okay, good. Am I happy? Well, let's take a look at power consumption. So roughly at the wall, my 2 AL0 not overclocked, running about 220 watts. At my electrical rate is about 14 cents now. Thank you, October. And I'm doing this to 122 a day here for these two miners and 65 cents for these two miners. Now, the difference is for 2 days. Okay, so it's two. What are we doing? Oh, that's price. So 166 a lithium of today lithium price is $2.61. And my power difference here. So what I did is this formula. I deduct from 122. I deduct 65 cents and multiply by 2 days. So it's 48 hours. I spend $1.13 extra, but I mine $2.61 extra of lithium. So double that cost, which is pretty good in my opinion, especially with the network hash rate. Guys, network hash rate. That's the most important part. That's where your rewards coming from. Your lithium network hash rate already at 18 petahash. Just a little bit over a month, it's 6x. Basically 6 times over. What does that mean? 6 times over means your profit, your reward 6 times less, right? So every time we see this spike on network hash rate, and it will continue growing with AL2. So really for me, I need to take advantage of this time, because the time is really going to be important right now. We're playing against the time with these miners. They'll become unprofitable very quickly after AL2 or new AL3s, and then other miners come up on the network and they're gonna double, triple, and rewards gonna just go on AL0 to 0, right? Because that's the AL0. Anyways, it's kind of weird. Here you go. We have 18 petahash. So where are we on the lithium? Radiant just went from 300, let's go months ago, fifths. Today is October 4, 244 terahash, 244 terahash to 1.6, 1600, so almost 8 times in the months, guys. 8 times in the months, and it was actually spiking here to 174. Crazy when probably RX0 went online somewhere for testing or whatever it is, but they got shipped and not back connecting, so the network hash rate will be increasing with the RX0 coming on the network. And other miners, the DG, what's the other one, was the that weird one going on, the DBA11, yeah, Dragon Ball. Is that Dragon Ball? Yeah, crazy. I don't know if anybody buying that. That's really expensive per gigahash mine. Most expensive, not very efficient miner. I don't know if anybody getting those, but the so far is that the most hash rate of the Radiant miner, I guess, in one single unit, where on RX0 you have to buy multiple units. You need to get 12 units to cover the same hash rate. So obviously those miners, there's going to be new miners, probably the ICERIVER, I have feeling, going to come up with something like RX2 or RX3 and stuff like that, right? So anyways, so far is pretty good. I think overall you could see these numbers make sense to me. So with my, obviously with my power cost, if your power cost is higher or lower, you may benefit or not. So make sure you do your own calculation on that. I'll just giving you here a little sample of how I do my calculation based on the differences. So now when I see this difference makes sense, the hash rate actually does applies to the pool. That giving me enough directions to get and go ahead and confirm and overclock these guys. Now, do I want a modem? Probably I need to, but I'm gonna try to overclock. I've seen a lot of Discord messages that people didn't even put any mods, and they doing a little bit overclocks to almost 300 plus 300 without putting the heatsinks, just using internal fans, not even using the shrouds. Very interesting, but I do not recommend, because typically all these miners, all overclocking, if you go and read about how you're supposed to do it, so you are risking there on your power stages, you need to cool them down. It's going to be all this information on the GitHub, so make sure you read that, because it's very important. And again, as a reminder, make sure you take your own risk. Do not follow my information, my advice. Your own risk going to be involved. You're going to risk your miner because you can damage it potentially, and I cannot be responsible for that. I'll just showing you my data. It doesn't mean you have to use it, okay? Use your own data. Just make sure you track it. What I did for me is I salad, yeah, Barco's right there. A lithium miner right here. So I was trying, when I started doing it, I recorded the power consumption there at every stage for me. And if you like, you can just look roughly. It doesn't mean you're gonna have same data. Like I said before, you may even have different data. Something weird going on with this zoom. It's trying to zoom it in so you guys could see a little bit better, but anyways, here you go. Every clock, if you want to pause video and see what I was getting on the overclocks and the voltages here, it's kind of weird, but it's this where I was getting 225, now it's like almost 230. I guess right there I didn't get the full data. I was trying to give more time, but look at the wall. You're probably at 12 watt at 12% efficiency. If you're 90% efficient on your power supply, you're probably going to be looking at 260, and you need to get probably around 300 watt PSU. So if you're mining on 19 volt PSU, and I would recommend, because you can also add even for 19 volts. I'm looking at 12 volt power consumption. I'm not sure if 19 volt any different, but if I do amperage here, and we simply gonna use number 19 volt, right? Let's do 20 volt. There's a 20 volt power supplies, right? So let's say you're using 20 volt and you're gonna connect that. So let's do a simple formula here so you can guys see as well. We're gonna divide this by this right there, right? Here you go. And I'm gonna put that, and I'm gonna have 5 amp here on the stock firmware, and as you go you could see your amperages. So even at 20 amp over here past 325, I would be already creating a lot of 10 amp is the maximum, but that's I wouldn't probably stay there for too long, because you get still possibility on melting your barrel connector. Doesn't matter how good quality of your barrel connector is, you're melting actually the barrel connector inside your miner. Keep on talking about that, because I show so many videos how that inner piece disconnects from your connector there. So pay attention, just make sure, stay safe, do not barrel connector after this line. I wouldn't even go, not just past this line, no barrel connector. Everything above, you're probably okay at 20 volts, but look, we're changing to 19 volt power supplies, and look at the amperages there. You're getting completely different data there. Boom. Let me do like this. Yeah, so you're already kind of risking right over here. So again, all depends. 19 volts there. Talking about 12 volt, I'm not even gonna show amperage, because I wouldn't overclock on the barrel connector on 12 volts, anywhere past probably this 75. That's it. That's already 10 amp. 120 watts, that's 10 amp. So you're already done at 12 volts right over here. So anyways, I hope you guys like this video. It's super long now again, but I just want to touch all the bases, power consumptions. I mean, don't use this table as your guide, but it's just the idea. I want to say, like, this is where I was getting pretty close to those numbers. It doesn't mean you're going to get same numbers on your power consumption, because power consumption very different. Like what you notice, what I just show you, it would at some point may show you 150 watts right there, but will it last long? I don't know. It maybe kind of seems to be cool and you almost can use power supply 200 watts and it's working, and then next day you're gonna say, hey, what's going on? My miner not working anymore, and it's gonna keep on restarting. Because if your power supply, like let's say you use 200 watt power supply over here, what's gonna happen? It's basically gonna start and your power supply will just prevent itself from overheating or from overloading. Usually it turns down the power and then restart it back automatically, and you're gonna see your miner keep on restarting every 5 minutes. When it starts hashing to the full 200 watts, boom, it will click and restart. So that's a number one problem always people having with the PSU, that it's not designed, or it's like using stock PSU 120 watts and trying to get even here. You can see probably restarting of your miner. If it's a little overload, your power supply can start restarting. Okay, all right, so be careful, guys. Stay safe with your miners, don't damage them. I'll see a lot of the stuff. I actually posted recently video, go check it out, how to unbrick your miner if you install the previous Tswift firmware on the Ultra. But you're not just unbricking it, you're getting full access to files. So look at that, 740. Look at that number, guys, 740. Cool, yeah? Now it's not really. It's probably gonna be around 645 on the pool. This is only 5 minutes, so don't look at that number, get too excited. Your 5 minutes you can get, I've seen this almost going to 800, 780s. I think I had at once 800. I should have taken a screenshot of that. It was like, oh wow, cool. So 2 hours is where your data mostly you can use for your adjustments. I recommend 30 minutes. It's kind of like just to kind of think about it if you want to stay with the clocks, but never look at 5 minute. 5 minute rate, nothing really gonna tell you much about how bad or how good it is. It will probably give you a good idea if it drops to 0 within 5 minutes. Something wrong probably with the clocks. I mean, and the voltage is probably too low and stuff like that. Yeah, all that information, again, it's here. Go read it before you install any overclock. So that's my update. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Hopefully everybody can get 740. Come on, boom. I wish this stays for 24 hours, right? Just like that. Anyways, thanks, guys. We'll see you. Peace.